So let's go to Kristen in San Diego. What's up, Kristen?
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, it is before time began out in California. Thanks for getting up so early with me.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to talk to you. I have been a fan since day one, and I have listened to every podcast. So I make it a priority in life to listen to you. So
you are so
thank
awesome.
You for all that you give us.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you. So what's up?
Well, just to jump right in and try to stay level and not to get too emotional, but it's your child, so how do you not? A few weeks ago, my husband came to me and said that he wants a divorce, and I'm really struggling with how do I tell our 6-year-old.
Oh, 6-year-old. Yikes. All across the board. Oh, man. What happened?
Well, I could go far back and really have some truth with myself and say, did I ignore some real core values when I picked a spouse? Was I young and looking for the fun? And he was fun and he gave me attention. And, you overlook some really, like I said, like the core values because, hey, he makes me feel good. Maybe he's not being as nice to others as he should, but he treats me good. Or maybe I don't like the choices that he made with that. I wouldn't do that. But, you make excuses. But recently...
hey, Kristen, talk directly into your phone for me.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Much better.
Okay. Recently, he's became real disconnected. He would lay on the couch all day, watch TV, not interact with us. And we've never had the relationship where we can effectively discuss problems. It's always like a shutdown. It's kind of, he doesn't want to talk about it. And I kind of have to work on eggshells and conform to his values and his wants. And I can go back and I think it's so new that I'm still really evaluating the relationship and all the things that went wrong. And I think overall, I did choose a poor spouse, and he loves her.
Hold on. Kristen, we can choose. I mean, I don't think the emphasis is so much on choice as much as two adults acting like adults and choosing as we go to be in good relationship with one another. And it sounds like choice or not, you made the choice and he has chosen over time, and you may or may not have participated in it, but have chosen to not invest in this relationship. Is that fair?
It's very fair.
Okay. And so is he seeing somebody else? Is he cheating on you? Is he saying I guess he's saying, I'm not going to cheat on you anymore because I don't want to be married to you anymore. Why is he deciding now to leave?
I think he's a very negative person. I think he makes rash decisions. Mm-hmm. I think he has grandiose ideas. He may have some depression. I don't fully know. He's always made me feel kind of disposable.
Okay.
And I'm not extremely shocked.
Okay. Is there a tiny part of you that is kind of like, yes? Or is it peace? A big
part of me, John.
Okay.
A big part.
Okay. All right, good.
It's kind of like someone opened up the shades and I'm just like, Kristen, what have you been doing all these years? And I'm just feeling some freedom and okay, I need help with myself. Why I let the relationship navigate the way it did. And that's, things that I'll need to work on.
Okay.
And my whole concern is for my daughter, but for myself, selfishly, I'm excited.
Okay. That's good to know because that directs how we're going to talk to her. So you have one 6-year-old. Is he the father of her?
We actually adopted her from birth. We were in the delivery room. So yes, we are all she knows.
Okay. And you only have one?
Yes.
Okay. So when you're talking about a 6-year-old, I want you to keep this equation in your mind. A plus B equals me. Okay. And I got that from an extraordinary child psychologist, and it stuck with me. It's just an important reminder. Here's what that means. How mom feels and how dad feels doesn't really matter. All the reasons why are not going to compute with the 6-year-old. I had one friend who's a child psychologist who said she remembers very clearly when she was 10 and her parents told her we were getting divorced, and her first question was, "Can we still go to Arby's?" Okay. And so it's going to be very concrete. At the same time, her body's it's a bomb going off inside of her, right? Because everything she knows is going to be different. Even though we sometimes use bombs to get rid of old buildings, right, and to excavate sites, doesn't mean that over time this isn't going to be the best thing and the right thing. Your response saying, "I'm married to someone who treats me less than, who has stepped out of this marriage a long time ago, who makes us all feel," right? So it's going to be a good thing over time. But it's going to be an explosive moment, okay? So don't be surprised if everything is, the questions that come are about her. That's developmentally appropriate. It should be. If you were having this conversation with a 17-year-old, it's a totally different track, okay? Here's the 2 things she's going to want to know. What did she do to make this happen? And is she going to be safe, meaning what happens next? Okay?
Okay.
So here's a couple of rules of thumb. 1 to 2 minutes per year. So this conversation, this first one, will be 10 to 12 minutes, and that's about it. Okay?
Okay.
Not a lot of explanations, not a lot of, oh, this is and that's, and then mommy, none of that. It will be quick. And if you can, you've heard me say this a lot, kids, we all do, but kids especially absorb power differentials. So if you can get down on her level, look her in the eyes, okay? This works way, way, way better if your husband acts like a mature adult and will be in there with you. Is that possible?
Yes, he will.
He will? Really?
Yes. Yeah, he is with her. He really expresses his love, and he does for her. So I know that we'll do it together. The conversations we've had is he's been involved. He's having ideas how to tell her. So
okay. So we're going to sit down together on the floor with her, okay? And we're going to let her know this is a very serious mom and dad conversation. And the conversation will start with, "Mom and Daddy love you. We will always love you. And Mom and Daddy will never leave you. And Mommy and Daddy have made a grown-up decision that we are going to get divorced. So we are taking full, even if you're thinking inside, actually, I don't want to be getting divorced now. We are going to take full ownership of this thing and begin planting seeds now. They're going to bloom 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, that this is not her fault, okay? So
okay.
we're going to plant those seeds now. Mommy and Daddy made a grown-up decision, and we are going to get divorced. So that means you're going to spend 1 week at Mommy's house, and you're going to spend 1 week at Daddy's house. And then here's what I'm talking about, the concrete. You're going to have a toothbrush at Mommy's house, and you're going to have a toothbrush at Daddy's house. And you're going to have friends at Mom's house and friends at Daddy's house. And if you know the information, like you're going to stay in this school and we're still going to have morning breakfast on Thursdays or whatever the thing is, some really concrete, really quick things, okay? And then check in with her. How does this feel in your body? How does this feel? Tell me the words that are coming to your heart. She may talk a lot. Well, are we still going to have Christmas? She may ask something like that. She will probably ask why. Why? Because it doesn't make any sense to a kid that why would adults voluntarily choose misery, right? Why would you voluntarily choose to have to split up everything and move all that, right? So it doesn't make sense. And that's okay. The answer is to why is this is not your fault. And we both really love you and we will never leave you. Okay. We're not going to get into, with a 6-year-old, we're not going to get into, well, Daddy has been this and Mom, we made a grown-up decision that this is best for us. Okay. And just know that any of your explanations are not going to register with a 6-year-old outside of we're making adult decisions. Okay.
Okay.
Here's another hard one. And this is a conversation you can have with him, and you can tell him I said this directly to your husband. My friend, Dr. Steve Jennings, he's an expert working with men, but he's worked with families for years. Here's what he tells his clients, and I love it. He says, I tell a client that right before you're about to say something negative about your spouse who you just got divorced with, I want you to find your kid, and I want you to punch him in the stomach as hard as you can.
Oh my gosh.
Okay? And then go ahead and tell them what you're going to tell them about their dad or about their mom. That's the level of violence, both physiologically and cognitive, a kid absorbs when they hear that dad is the worst, or your dad's doing this, or mom just kicked me out, or I don't, right? Here's why. And you've heard me say this before on the show, and I'll say it again. Kids know that half of me is him and half of me is her. And when we tell them, and especially in an adoptive situation, we opted into this, right? And so this kid's going to have even more weight, right? So this is going to be a dicey situation for a while with this youngster. They need to know, I'm not talking bad about dad, even though you might think he is the biggest scumbag ever, or he's going to pop up in 2 weeks with some new girlfriend or whatever, and you're going to think, I knew it. That can't filter to her. That's got to be you with your adult friends, your adult counselors, your adult grown-ups in your life who are doing life with you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And your husband cannot avoid a hard conversation with her at the expense of you. And what I mean by that is he cannot say, well, your mom she was tough to be married to, so I had to go. No, he has to take ownership of his actions. I told your mother that I no longer want to be married to her. But even though I'm not your mom's husband, I will always be your daddy. Okay? And we're going to always loop back. After that 10 or 12, 15-minute talk, one or two of y'all are going to take her somewhere. Because now she's going to want to test it. Because y'all said y'all were going to stay together forever and y'all are breaking up. But you're telling me you're going to love me forever. Maybe. Right? And now the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of testing begins. Can I push you far enough that you're going to actually walk away from me too? And the answer to that has to be no. Both of you, right?
Okay.
So that means after that, we're going to go to get ice cream. We're going to go to the park. Daddy's going to take you to go get a hamburger. And we're going to go do something. We're not just going to drop that bomb in 12 minutes and then walk out and leave the 6-year-old in her room by herself.
All right.
And we're not going to talk a lot about it in the car either. We'll answer all of her questions age appropriately, but we're not going to bring it up. We're not going to go over. We're going to show her love by connection and attention. We're going to put our phones away and we are just going to go sit at a table. And in fact, hang on the line. I'm going to send you all of the questions for humans cards I have for kids and parents and teens and kids, all of those. And that'll give you something you can do while you're out getting ice cream together or something. Okay.
That was going to be my next question, is if you had any resources or advice on something to read. So I just thank you so much for that.
Actually, I'm going to do this. This is a strange thing. Hold on. I'm pulling up something I never do, but I'm pulling my phone out here. My friend, Dr. Jennings, sent me these 2 books. One is called My 2 Homes by Alejandro Pozo Stevenson. It's called My 2 Homes. And there's another book called 2 Homes Filled with Love by Steve Herman. And she recommended those 2 books as great resources. I'll link to them in the show notes. I've never read them. I've never opened them, but she has this conversation all the time. And she says they are excellent books just to read especially to a 6-year-old, right?
Oh, okay.
And we'll link to them in the show notes and you can just pick them up on Amazon.
Great.
And, I think having some direct connection time. And here's one last final thing. It is okay to tell her that I'm very, very sad. And Daddy's very, very sad. It's okay to say we had expected to be married forever and we've made grown-up decisions to not be married forever, not be married anymore. But your daughter's going to feel very, very sad. Mainly because she doesn't understand, mainly because she's all the abandonment, all the stuff, right? And if she knows mom feels sad and dad feels sad, then she's going to feel not crazy. And so you being honest about how you feel when it comes to grief is going to be important. And by the way, my guess is y'all's marriage has been a mess for a while. Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
I just kind of hit a lot of it and made the best of it. And I think I was honest with myself about a year ago, and I said, this is not who I would choose. This isn't the relationship I would choose. And knowing his inability to even have productive conversations, he would never work on it. So I kind of knew, this is the situation I'm in, and I'm going to write it out for my daughter. And I'm almost thankful that he did the hard thing and decided, came to me and said, no, like, this marriage is over. But
to rip the band off. Now, make no mistake, I have yet to see any sort of data or research that would suggest that had you sat with him and said, hey, we are intentionally choosing a life of misery together. Let's intentionally choose something else. And that means we're going to have to learn new skills, right? And he said, you're right. I'm done choosing misery, choosing immaturity. So I'm going to choose maturity, which doesn't mean I'm going to suddenly become a great communicator overnight, but that means I'm going to commit to learning how to be like that. Arc would have been much better for everybody, but it didn't happen, right? It didn't happen. So now we're dealing with reality, and your husband says he's walking out on y'all. And so you can breathe for the first time in a long time. There will be healing in the home. There'll be healing in your daughter's heart, no question about it. You and your husband are going to have to choose, and maybe this is the conversation you have with him. You and I have both chosen over the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years, however long we've been married, to not communicate well. We have chosen to be distant from one another. We cannot do that moving forward with our child. We're going to have to choose to talk. We're going to have to choose to be open with one another. When I say I don't want her dating and you say I do want her dating, we're going to have to sit down like adults and have that conversation and not just fire text off back at each other, right? You see what I'm saying? You're going to have a level of intentionality with your divorced relationship than you did with your married relationship, right? Which sounds crazy because we could have just done this 5 years ago. We didn't. So here we are, okay? To all you listening to this, hear where this goes, right? Hear where this goes. To the men listening to this or watching this, don't choose misery. And that doesn't mean leave. That means sit down across the table or sit down on a couch next to the person you said you love, that you said you're going to love forever, that you either made kids with, made humans with, or you adopted, you created a family unit. Say, I'm done choosing misery. Will you be done choosing misery too? Can we choose something way better than this? And I'm going to have to learn some new skills. You're going to have to learn some new skills. Would you learn those with me? I promise I'll go first. And wives, you hear the end here. A woman who said, I wouldn't have picked him, and now I'm just going to cash out the rest of my life. I'm just going to crawl under this blanket and just stay here until this thing's over. You get one shot. You get one tiny little life. Don't live like that. The institution of marriage just gets a bad rap, and if you will put the work in, and the work is hard, it is hard, it is hard, and it's new, and it's shameful, and it's embarrassing, and it's frustrating, it's all those things. But I promise you, compulsive spenders, and you're married to somebody who's like, why do you keep running us into the ground financially? Compulsive cheaters, why? What is it about you that you think you're going to find out there? Compulsive, just sitting on the couch, grabbing 5 beers after work and just saying, I'm out. Why? Why choose that life? Choose something different. And if you're married, choose to do it together. Choose to do it together. These kids, they need us.